Hello and welcome to Symbols of Spring. We're working on the robin egg in this video. So you'll need something to draw with, some watercolor paper, water, paint, a brush, a paper towel, and a special tool, a white crayon. We're going to use that to block out some of the areas that we want to stay white. And of course I've cut my paper into smaller cards. They're 4.5 by 6 inches. We're going to start by writing our name in the corner. Always sign your work. And in this one, we're going to be drawing the robin's egg. So I'm going to slow down here. I'm going to start with this egg shape. And my egg is going to be kind of pointed up a little bit. I'm going to put my pencil on the egg line and draw a new egg shape that's just a little bit smaller. See, its bottom is a little bit higher up. And I'm going to do that again on the other side. Again, the bottom of the egg is a little bit higher up than that first egg I drew. So these shapes are overlapping. Next, I'll add some little grass shapes. They look kind of like the letter M or W, perhaps. And then I'll start on my flowers. You can stop this and rewind it as many times as you need. I'm going to imagine that somebody or something hid these eggs under some flowers. So I've got some vertical lines coming out from the eggs and some leaf shapes coming out. And at the top of the flower, a circle and these curved line shapes going around the circle. If you need to see it again, you can always pause it and rewind. But we've gone over these shapes in previous videos, so I think you're pretty familiar with them. All right. I'm going to add a few more grass lines. And next, if you want to get a little more complicated, you can always add something else in the bottom of the picture. Another flower, maybe an animal. It's up to you. So next, I want to talk about my setup here. I've got my brush and my water and my paper towel on the left side because I'm left-handed. And when I'm not using my brush, I'm going to rest it on that paper towel. And I'll also use the paper towel to test my paint before I put it on my paper. But first I'm going to start with my lightest color, and that is white. So I'm going to block off the areas that I want by coloring them white with this white crayon. And the watercolor paint won't stick to that part of the page, so it will stay the color that it is. So I'm going to make my flower petals white. You could make your eggs white. I'm just going to do a little design right here, just a little spiral, just to show you what will happen if you draw a design on your eggs with the white crayon. It's going to be kind of cool. If you want to decorate your eggs, you can do that. Next, I'm going to add color. I'm going to dip my paint in the water gently, and then I will touch that water or that wet brush to the paint, and that will load up the brush with paint. Then I spread it around, and I'm actually going to make my grass and my sky here completely yellow at first, and I'll explain why. I actually want my flowers to be green on their stems, but I want that to look different than the grass. So I want my grass to have kind of a yellowish green look, but we always want to start with a lighter color. So I'm going to do a base coat of yellow on my whole drawing here. Then I'll come back and add green to the parts that I want to look like grass. Here we go. I'm making the sky yellow too. And this can be a little time consuming. This can be a little tricky to paint around those flower shapes. But if you wanted them to be white, the nice thing is the paint won't stick to those areas if you accidentally paint over them. So it'll be okay. And honestly, if you get it on your stems or your leaves of your flowers too, the yellow paint, it'll be okay because you can cover it up later with green. That's why we go from lightest color to darkest color. And when it starts to get filled in here. You might be finding that you have a little too much water on your brush sometimes. You can always, if you get too much water on the page, too much watercolor on the page, you can just dab it with your paper towel, and that will bring up the water and some of the color too. So it's kind of like an eraser, as long as you get it quickly. But if you let it sit there, it will soak into the page. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of my yellow here. Trying to be careful not to get it anywhere that I don't want it, because it is hard. You can't really erase it. You can dab it up a little bit, but you can't really erase it once it's on the page. Alright, now I'm going to rinse out my brush and test it on my paper towel to make sure it is clean before I dip it in another color. There we go. I'm not going to smash it when I do that. I'm just going to gently rub it on the bottom of the cup when I rinse it out. Next, I'm going for green. I'm just going to make my stems and leaves of my flowers here regular green. And if I got a little too much on there, so I can always I can dry it up a little bit with my paper towel, but it will take away some of the color that I put down too, so just remember that. Alright, I could make these stems and leaves darker if I wanted to add a little bit more green to my brush, but we're going to keep this a pretty light colored picture. Spring is known for using very light colors, so I'm going to keep it kind of light here. There's a nice strong green, not too dark. There we go. Alright, and now I'm going to add green to my grass. And it's going to be that kind of yellowish green because we've already had yellow on the page there. So I think it'll look pretty nice when we're done. It'll look a little bit different from our flowers, so they'll stand out from each other. And we'll dab here with my paper towel. And you can be tempted, it might be tempting to rush through this part, but if you do it nice and slow, take your time, I think you'll end up with a really nice painting. Painting is one of those medium that you use not because you want to go faster, but because you want to do something that looks cool. So when you're using it, you got to be a little bit patient with yourself, and if you mess up, forgive yourself. Try to fix it, and if you can't, find some way to use what you do to make the picture better. Sometimes I mess up and I just have to find a way to make it work. There we go. Alright, I'm coming to the end of the green here. Just going to fill this out. Try to even it out a little bit. You are just spreading the paint around the picture when you do this. Alright, clean out my brush, wiping it along the bottom of the cup. And it looks pretty clean. So now I'll dip it into the blue. Robin's eggs are a kind of blue. It's a pale blue or a light blue with just a hint of green. So I'm going to get the blue on there first. I guess I could have put the green on there first, but I didn't. They're more blue than green. Oh, there's my design showing up. Remember how I said if you paint there, if you color there with your white marker, the paint won't stick to that spot. And there it is. There's my little design showing up. Oh, and actually I noticed my paper towel has a little bit of a design in it too, and that shows up when I dab that area with my paper towel. So I didn't even do that on purpose. That was an interesting accident. Maybe you'll notice about your paper towels in your house or the napkins that you have in your house. You might notice if you dab your painting with them, they leave behind a little trace of the design that's in the napkin or paper towel. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bumpy. See that? That's kind of cool. All right, now I'm going to add just a touch of green. Just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to make my green very light by adding more water to it. That's too light. There we go. That's about right. I like that. Just a tiny bit of green. I add some more water. A little much. I might need to dab it. There we go. That fixes it. And right here, a little bit of green. Just a tiny bit. Just a little bit more blue. There we go. That feels about right. If you guys can hear in the background, it's my dogs. They're sitting next to me here. All right, there we go. There's the robin's egg. I hope you have something you're proud of. I can't wait to see what you make.